Hi, Sadie. Hi, everybody. My name is Philip Fracassi, and today I'm going to read from my new book, Beneath the Pale Sky. The story I'm going to read is Death, My Old Friend, which is the last story in the book. Uh, it's about a young man who grows up with death as his best friend. It technically is English, the characters are English, but I'm not going to read with an accent because I would not subject you to that. I may throw some in during the dialogue, but bear with me. Death, my old friend. I won't lie to you. It's strange growing up with death as your best mate. Lots of explaining to do. Hard to keep friends and all that. Tough all round, I'd say. One exception, no bullies. Free and clear are the close friends of death. No one wants to be in his bad side, do they? Still, it wasn't all fun and games. I mean, he had a job to do, and he did it with vigor and more than a little relish. In school, the both of us were just we and still figuring out the whats and whos of life. We'd sit beside each other in the classroom, as usual, the last row. Desks parallel, trainers kicking air. Took Miss Haberdash last night, he'd say, whispering it to me so Mr. Blackburn wouldn't hear it over his lecture on the highlights of the Peloponnesian War. Heart disease, you know, he'd say, and I'd just nod and look forward, staring hard at the blurry, saturated image of ancient Greece the projector had splattered over the room's white concrete wall. She was nice, eh? He said lamely, quietly, as if to himself. I mean, never a bad word. Mrs. Haberdash was piano tutor to both myself and Death, along with many other kids whose parents were keen on promoting the finer arts in their dullard children. I'd got no further than chopsticks before quitting, spending the time I was supposed to be in Haberdash's parlor, exploring the creek out by Westford Park for minnows and tadpoles. I had dreams of a frog farm then. But Death always enjoyed the lessons, said they rounded him out, for whatever that's worth. He'd brag about his knowledge of Chopin and Bach, how he'd all but mastered Moonlight Sonata. So then why'd you kill her? I asked, not for the first time. It was a question that tended to rise whenever a similar set of circumstances presented themselves. The conversation had leaked on into break. We were on the swings by then, shooting skyward, parallel to one another, stomachs lurching on the backswing, feet thrusting forward on the return, trying without making a show of it to stay in rhythm. I didn't kill her, dolt, he returned, focused on propelling himself upward, shooting toward the sky, kicking his heels at the clouds, then bending the knee sharp and dropping away. I don't kill anyone, you know that. Don't make a fuss. It is what it is, isn't it? I nodded, felt bad for vexing him. We all had our tasks. We were all just getting along. My folks, for instance, wanted me to be an athlete, pushed me to sports every chance they could get, but it never took, primarily because I was small and weak and uncoordinated, poor hand to eye contact and all that. I tried joining a couple teams after grammar school, but never caught on with it. A lot of hassle over similar games you could play in the park with mates you liked versus the assholes they teamed with at school. Still wanted to succeed for mom and dad. Failed, of course, but A plus for effort. Death tried football but quit when a kid died during a match. Just dropped midfield from an aneurysm. Fate, of course, everyone knew it, but Death was still there on the pitch, in the forward position actually, and had to go over there and send the boy's soul on his way, right in front of his teammates in a bandstand full of onlookers. Not a pleasant task. Most of the opposing fans were jeering as it was their player, parents crying, of course. Death quit the team after that, told me it was for the best, as the fellows tended to pace themselves during practice and warm ups, keeper even taking on a helmet. Coach said it was affecting the intensity, overall effort was waning, etc. So Death acquiesced and bowed off, but was distraught to tell the truth. What folks don't understand is that Death doesn't cause the inevitable, he simply handles the transaction, dresses it up like. He manages, how do you say, the exchange, as it were, between this life and the next. His proximity to the killing itself has nothing at all to do with it. Hell, I'd had multiple sleepovers with the bloke, and I'm still red as rain. We even shared a cigarette once. Talk about tempting fate. At least, that's what I thought at the time. Still, he made folks edgy, and no lie, he was good about it for the most part, only at certain times becoming vexed, irritated, or on more than one occasion, severely depressed by the stigma which surrounded him. But we all had our problems at that age, teenage years being what they are, so his issues were no more dramatic than my own or anyone else's. At least he knew what he was going to be when he grew up, advantage that. For the most part, Death and I got along famously. We had speed bumps like most best friends will, but all in all, we were great mates. Highs and lows, sure, but I was always there for him if needed, and to the best of his ability, he was always there for me. Our biggest fight stemmed from what you could call a misunderstanding. It was our junior year of high school, and I had a major world history test the following day, first period. It was late at night, and I was fast asleep, having gone to bed later than I'd wanted because of a rugby match on television I just had to watch the end of. Good guys lost, by the way. Anyway, it was late, and I was broad awake from what I guess was a nasty nightmare, or maybe I just heard him sneaking about. Impossible to say. But when I woke up, he was standing near the foot of my bed, heading toward an open window. We kept them open all that autumn because of the late heat, and Mum and Dad couldn't afford air, so windows and fans it was on those hot nights. When I saw him, didn't know what to do, what to say. Yeah, we were best mates, but we certainly didn't sneak around the other's room at night. Don't get that idea. So it was startling, to say the least. Hey, I said to him, whispering loudly as I could, not wanting to wake the folks. What are you about? He froze, didn't look at me at first, just stared at that open window like he was going to will himself through it without having to take another step. Finally, he did turn. His face caught the moonlight, and I could see he was shaken up. I'm sorry, John, was all he said. Then he took 3 quick steps and slid out the window, easy as pie. Sorry for what? I said from the bed, talking now to an empty room, asking questions of shadows. I got up, went to the window, and looked out. He was my friend, yeah, but I closed the window after him nonetheless. I liked him, Death. Not sure I trusted him, though. Besides, everything seems creepier in the middle of the night, am I right? Back to sleep, and the next thing I remember is waking up to my dad screaming. I jumped out of bed like it was on fire and ran down the hall to my folks' room, saw the old man bent over the bed, hysterical. Mum had died in the night. Heart failure, just like Mrs. Haberdash, the piano tutor. Very rare, apparently. Unusual, they said after, when the doctors got to her. I thought, but didn't say, yeah, tell that to Haberdash. It was becoming his specialty for those more sudden rug pulls, I guess. Obviously, I was pissed off. I tried to confront him about it, ask him why he didn't at least warn me, told him I thought we were mates, told him what's the point of being best friends with someone if they can't play you a solid every now and then. Ain't that what friends are for? Jesus, would it have killed him to do me one favor and let my ma be alive? I missed her. I cried and cried for days, for fuck's sake. He showed at the funeral and I couldn't stay upset. It was big of him, and if I'm being honest, I was glad he was there. So I let it slide, and we came to an understanding about certain things. We all go alone, John, he said during the viewing, when we were sitting in the car park tossing pebbles at the hearse's hubcaps. Ain't nothing changing that. Not you, eh? I said, not even sure I was right about that one. Immortal, etc. He didn't say anything. And besides, I continued, we don't go alone, do we? You're there. He shook his head, whispered to me quietly, as if we were talking during a eulogy. No one ever sees me, mate. See, I step in right after. Well, sort of. I mean, I'm there when they, you know. I nodded, not saying it aloud on account of it'd be bad taste, being Mom's funeral. Anyway, we all go alone. Even me. My job is more along the lines of guidance, see? If it weren't for me, fucking souls would be stuck in a dead body for eternity. And who'd want that? I shook my head, frowned. Not me, that's for fucking sure. Exactly, he said, and patted my hand with his cold one. I looked at him and he was smiling. I didn't trust that smile, and I can't say I rightly believed him about that not being part of the dying bit. But what was I going to do? Call him a liar? He was my best mate. Thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed that excerpt from the story Death My Old Friend, and I hope you pick up Beneath the Pale Sky. Thanks and have a great day. Bye bye.